Episode 459. At this moment, Ye Shu felt so utterly drained he couldn't even muster the tears to cry. No one could have predicted that the clearing of the 10th server would end up being such a grueling ordeal. And to make matters worse, this particular troublemaker was so powerful it was downright absurd. Knight crossing Cold Pool already knew he was no match, but he still had to grit his teeth and step forward to make contact.
So the great god is starting a guild? Congratulations.
Even Ye Duhan felt his own opening line was insincere. There wasn't a shred of genuine congratulation in his heart. But aside from congratulations, he really didn't know what else to say.
Thanks.
Ye Shu's reply was simple. He had a flood of messages to deal with.
Do you have enough people? If you're short-handed, I'll send some people over to help.
Knight crossing the Cold Pool continued his hypocritical performance.
Probably not, right?
Ye Shu's reply even included a smiling emoji. Cold Night River couldn't even muster a polite excuse. After a moment's thought, he finally just came out with it.
So, what are your plans after you establish the guild, great god?
You should know the answer to that.
Of course, Ye Dubentang understood perfectly. He'd just steered the conversation this way, and as soon as he got Ye Shu's reply, he immediately sent a follow-up message as a reminder.
Hesitating, you haven't forgotten our bet, right, great god?
Of course I remember. I won't touch your guild's record.
Night-Tide Cold Pool quickly received a reply from Lord Grimm. The words were exactly the same as the original promise, and even the attached emoji was that same simple, honest smiley face from that day. Cold Night River couldn't be mistaken about this. He had a screenshot of that chat log saved. But right now, as Knight crossing Cold Pond looked at this reply again, he didn't feel the same happiness he had that day. Just not touching our guild's records. That's nowhere near enough. Because right now, if Lord Grimm doesn't provide their guild with dungeon strategies, their guild won't even show up on the leaderboards. When that happens, Lord Grimm wouldn't be able to touch their records even if he wanted to. The promise that had once brought joy to everyone in the guild now seemed like a meaningless, empty phrase. They weren't blind to the trap in that promise. It's just that Lord Grimm's level had always been a bit lower than the top-tier players in their guilds. All they had to do was seize the record before he could catch up and level up. They never saw the dungeon strategy coming. Cold Night Pond was at a loss for how to reply. Strictly speaking, Lord Grimm hadn't broken any promises. Back in the Heavenly Domain, after hearing the latest news delivered by Blue River, the leader of Blue Brook Guild, Spring Green, could only let out a sigh. The 5 top experts of Blue Brook Guild stood in a circle, and for a long moment, no one uttered a word. Forming a guild is like the rain falling from the sky. No one can stop it. If it were just some random high-level player starting a guild, no one would be this worried. But this is the great Ye Chu we're talking about. The Ye Chu who suddenly surfaced at the All-Star event, who signaled his comeback with the dragon raise his head. So his purpose in founding a guild is clearly not for fun. It's the same goal as all the major club guilds. Competition was now inevitable.
Let's just watch for a while first.
In the end, that was the only suggestion Spring Herb could offer. Over at the Excellent Era Club, Chen Yehui didn't call Liu Hao this time. Instead, he went to see him in person. After the All-Star weekend, Liu Hao felt as if a thorn had been driven into his heart. Yi Chu's dragon raises head defeated Samsara's Du Ming, but it also cast a long shadow over Liu Hao. It was a sign that Yi Chu would return. That was the interpretation of many, fans, media, and even pro players, and it was the last thing Liu Hao wanted to hear. Just as he was growing restless over this, Chen Yehui suddenly showed up at his door, bringing news that Lord Grimm was planning to form a guild.
Forming a guild?
As a fellow pro player, Liu Hao understood perfectly well just how crucial a guild was to a club. If Yi Chu, who was seen as a sure bet, was now building a guild, the implications were,
Is this guy planning to form his own team?
That's a very real possibility.
Chen Yehui gave a nod.
He really won't give up, will he?
Seeing Liu Hao's expression, Chen Yehui found it a bit odd. When he first entered, Liu Hao's expression had been gloomy, but upon hearing this news, he seemed to relax a bit.
Does he really think he can take on all the established teams in the league just by putting together a single team on his own? I think he's really lost his mind. The league today is a far cry from the days when one man could carry an entire team. These days, top-tier players are popping up everywhere. there are more and more God-level accounts, and the competition is fierce. Honestly, I doubt he'll even qualify to get into the alliance.
In that case, we don't need to bother with him.
Well, it's not good to be too indifferent either. We should keep a close eye on him.
But with his guild up and running, our development in the 10th server is definitely going to face a major obstacle.
Chen Yehui was losing more and more hope in Lu Hao. He realized the two of them were drifting apart, their concerns fundamentally misaligned. Lu Hao simply believed Ye Chu couldn't rise again. But throughout this whole process, he never once mentioned the obstacles this guy would create for the Jai Dynasty Guild's clearing efforts. Shen Yehui knew that the guild's development was his responsibility alone, and it had nothing to do with Lu Hao. This was Chen Yehui's final probe, to see if this former ally was truly about to go their separate ways for good. Shen Yehui's tone had shifted, carrying a new firmness and a note of skepticism, a stark departure from his usual manner with Lu Hao. Lu Hao picked up on it instantly. He was a sharp-witted guy himself. He immediately understood Chen Yehui's displeasure and stepped forward, clapping Chen on the shoulder with a laugh.
Let's go. Let's find a spot for a couple of drinks and hash things out properly.
Lu Hao didn't want to lose this ally. Having gauged his attitude, Chen Yehui said nothing more. The two of them walked out together.